Welcome to another episode of the Be Wise Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Y. Wright. What's happening? So don't forget to please like and subscribe. Punch that like button for me. Subscribe if you want to. I'd really appreciate that. Help my algorithm. Help me get a conservative message out there to people who need it. Sometimes the internet and the algorithms tend to suppress conservative thought. That's how you have like rooms full of people cheering when Trevor Noah says Nicki Minaj is not here because they're just so brainwashed. It's kind of bizarre. Anyway, I digress. So what's trending in the news is the Rooney Rule. Remember the Rooney Rule? I'm sorry, I hit my microphone. Rooney Rule, NFL rule made by Roger Goodell and the powers that be at the NFL came out in 2003 and said that any NFL head coaching hires must interview a minority or a Black specifically candidate, especially Black candidates. They said that the NFL was 70% African American or Black, and we have not made any progress at putting Black people into leadership. And that produced people like Mike Tomlin for the Steelers, who stayed for 19 years or whatever it's been, produced Todd Bowles and Raheem Morris and some of the other Black coaches that you've seen. All right. So my question is, do we think that it's been successful? Have we made any progress? Has the Rooney Rule actually worked the way it was intended to work? And me personally, my answer is no. The NFL hasn't progressed any more forward today than they did in 2003. I think we had 2 or 3 Black coaches in early 2000s, like, Ray Rhodes and those guys. I think Ray Rhodes might have been the 90s. I got to look it up. Tony Dungy, those guys. But anyway, I don't think the NFL has made any progress by implementing the Rooney Rule, because basically you're telling NFL owners how to run their teams. You're telling NFL owners that you have to interview a Black candidate. I'm suffering from a small cold. I got a sinus thing going on and I can barely breathe. So if you hear a sniff every now and then, I'm trying to turn the mic down so you don't have to hear it. But anyway, I don't think that the Rooney Rule is necessary. I think it's a dog and pony show. And as a Black man, personally, I'd be quite livid if you called me out to Dallas or California, San Diego. I live on the East Coast, just to, put on your dog and pony show, and you wind up hiring Jason Garrett anyway. Not to pick on Jason Garrett, but you know what I mean, right? The NFL should not be in a position to tell billionaire NFL owners how to run their team. Maybe a little reminder, a little nudge from the front office. Hey, I know you got an opening there. Please try and, hire some Black candidates. But don't make it a rule. The Detroit Lions were actually fined. I can't remember what year it was, but their owner was actually fined because they did not follow the Rooney Rule, and they actually hired someone without going through the process. That's just straight up affirmative action, straight up DEI, and we want to avoid that. So if you watch my show, all of my takes come from a conservative standpoint, and it really, really incensed me when I saw today that I saw it online, and it said that I think Roger Goodell was, where did I see that at? Where did I see it? I don't even know now. Anyway, it said that Roger Goodell was going to reevaluate the, God, I want to find it. No, here it is. So Roger Goodell wants to reevaluate the approach after one minority coach was hired this cycle. So we were 0 for 10 on the Black coaches. 10 coaching openings was open this year, and only one was filled by a minority coach, and he's Lebanese, Robert Saleh. Used to coach the Jets. And he failed. And now you have 10 other openings that no Black coaches were hired. And even with that piss poor result. I still don't believe that the Rooney Rule is necessary for a few reasons. There's no justification for it. You can't be out here saying, well, the league is 70% black players, so therefore, by that rule, there should be more representation in the head coaching spot. No. Damn it. Billionaire NFL football owners only care about two things, winning and money. They want to see Lombardi trophies in their glass cases. And if you have, and yes, white coaches have failed too. And they're given a season or two, maybe 3 seasons to get their shit together, but they don't stick around much longer. Mike Tomlin crushed his interview. Russ Grimm, you'll see a video about this, but Russ Grimm, former Steeler, was actually pegged to be the next Steelers head coach after Bill Cowher. And Mike Tomlin walked into the room, shined a light, and it was so bright that the Rooneys had no choice but to say, I'm sorry, Russ, this guy killed it. And for some of you, you might be saying, well, that's why you need to give them an opportunity to interview. Maybe in 2003, 2004, that was fine. But it's been 23 years since then. And I don't think personally that too many black coaches are going to walk in and change the minds of an owner when they already have their mind made up. The Rooneys are different. Remember, the rule is named after them, which makes me think that the Rooneys wanted to hire a minority coach. But they already said, what about Russ Grimm? Russ Grimm's been in our organization for a while. He's next in line after Bill Cowher. He should get a spot. And then here's what I say about being a black man in corporate America, as I have been for many years. So many times I was the only one in the room, but I still had to interview, and I still had to have a quality resume, and I still had to look the part, and I still had to be prepared. What is luck? When preparedness meets opportunity, right? I was prepared when I went in that interview, and I blew the doors off my interview. And although they probably had maybe some young white Ivy League or college grad or something that was more qualified on paper, they met me and they were like, oh my God, this guy Chris is amazing. I kid, but you know what I'm saying. So Mike Tomlin crushed that interview and he became a Steelers coach for the last 19 years. But what's happened since then, since Mike Tomlin was hired? I mean, we've had, like I said, Raheem Morris, Ty Bowles, D'Amico Ryan, Marvin Lewis, so many candidates come and go. And they didn't get fired because they weren't given an opportunity. The only person that was fired after 1 year was Gerard Mayo in New England. And I think that when Robert Kraft hired him, he was a stopgap, but I heard he had personnel issues in the locker room. You know, I heard he didn't get along with all the players. He wasn't a good leader. He might have been a good X and O guy, but he wasn't a good leader. So it's been in the news. It has been trending. And let's kind of see what some people had to say. I'll start with Harrison. Harrison was a former Steeler, and he talks about, as I was just talking about, the Mike Tomlin interview.
Was that the Rooney Rule is a good thing and it's a bad thing. For coach, it got him in the room, period. But now you're trying to figure out, am I getting in the room and the room is already against me because they're trying to check the box, or am I getting in the room because they legitimately want to look at it now too? And when you look at it, pride, I'm a billionaire, Joe, and you're telling me who I got to interview and how many people I got to interview? That's a lot of pride to swallow for somebody who's been doing what they want to do for most of the process of how they've been successful. If you don't absolutely just smash it, you got to go in there and be so much better than the person before you. 2003, the Lions, they got fined in 2003 for not meeting the requirements when it first came in. Pushback, dude. You're going to get pushback.
Yeah. So, I mean, Debo Harrison, he played on the Steelers. He played for Mike Tomlin. He and Mike Tomlin didn't have the best relationship, but he always said Mike Tomlin was a really good coach. He said he wasn't a great coach. He doesn't think he was a great coach, but he thinks he was a good coach. But he fit the role. It wasn't like he was the DEI candidate. It wasn't like he was there because he's black. He actually did the thing. And we all know Mike Tomlin's record. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer as far as I'm concerned. But not every black coach that's been hired since him has lived up to that. Is he the last black coach with a Super Bowl win? I can't remember. I should have researched that before. Or even conference championship. Conference championship. I don't know. But just want to give you guys some different perspectives and points of view.
Here's what I think. You reminded me of something in the beginning. Here's what I think happened with all the NFL owners and Goodell. They had a meeting, and they said, well, wait a minute. There's no Jim Trotter this year? Oh, okay. We can hire who the... All right, get all the white guys. Get all the white guys. There's no Trotter to virtue signal. And that's what happened. But again, I think you raise a good question. Who is this year's version of Marvin Lewis?
Who's this year's version of Marvin Lewis? Because it's not enough to just have to hire a black or interview a black quarterback. Where are the candidates? I'm a Steelers fan. And when someone said, who you guys think you're going to hire? I said, I would like to see Flores, the Minnesota Vikings, Brian Flores, get a look. Because he went to Miami and he turned the Dolphins around. I don't think they made the playoffs, but he did turn them around. They went from like a 4-win team to a 9 or 10-win team. I think 9-win. That was before we went to 17 games. It was still 16. And I think it was 9-7. And he's a great defensive coordinator on the Minnesota Vikings. All right. But who else? Who else is out there that gave you that Marvin Lewis type feel? Like, that's prepared. Defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, even special teams coach. I don't know. So not only do you have to hire a black candidate, but you're either going to have to hire someone that's an assistant coach, or you're going to have to hire someone who just failed somewhere else. It's not much of a choice.
That is that, or Tony Dungy, that everyone says, hey, that is the guy. That guy should get a job right now. He's hot. He's on everybody's short list. And a couple things. I think the specter of Gerard Mayo hangs over a lot of people's heads. Also, Aaron Glenn did not do the movement of black coaches a lot of favors.
He didn't. Aaron Glenn was absolutely horrible for the Jets. So, yeah. So when owners look at that, these billionaires are sitting up in their glass towers and they're thinking like, what am I comparing? Like, and yes, 100%. White coaches fail too. But we don't talk about that. People say that, the black coaches have to be twice as good. No. Other than Gerard Mayo, he's the only one that I can recall. Pierce, I think he left the Raiders on his own because the Raiders are a shit show. But I don't think Pierce was fired. He did a pretty decent job for a team that sucks like that. But Mayo is the only one that I remember that actually got fired after 1 year. And not only that, Mike Vrabel was available. Oh my God, you got Gerard Mayo, and you see the Titans fire Vrabel. Man, you got no choice. You really don't have a choice.
And the fact, and going back to New England now, Kraft said, you know what, I'm just going to do it my way. Damn all the boxes that aren't checked. I'm going to go with Vrabel. Vrabel's in the Super Bowl. And maybe every team is now like, you know what, we are further and further away from 2020. We could do the virtue signaling on Twitter, but in terms of like real life decisions, we're going to do the best for us as we think at this time.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree. That's Steve Kim, by the way, calls himself the Asian Cassell. He's always a guest on Jason Whitlock. But he pointed out, like, not only if you have to hire Black candidates, then make sure there are some that are ready. Here's what's funny. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were coming off winning a Super Bowl, and Mike Tomlin was Tony Dungy's assistant. So he got a shot. He got a shot. Give me that Black guy that's like that right now. And I could be wrong about that Tampa Bay thing, but I believe that he had come from a pretty good defensive program. Here's a take, and I didn't even think about this. This guy talks about grooming and preparing people for the position of head coach.
Look, I think it's an interesting discourse, and I think these are the conversations that for years we've had at dinner tables when you're coming up and you're talking about what the expectation is. And I think the expectation for coaches and general managers, and particularly those of color, Black general managers and coaches, that look, you have to exceed in the roles that you're given. And when you're given an opportunity as a leader, it's incumbent upon you to pour into those that are coming behind you. Like, that is the expectation. That's how it's always been taught to us. And that's what we should expect. Now, the nuance that everyone must understand when it comes to the coaching hirings, having 10 openings, one going to a minority, Robert Saleh going to the Tennessee Titans, is this. And it goes back to when I was in college. There was a study that Dr. Harry B. Edwards did where he talked about players and positions of centrality. And so on the football field, when you play, quarterback, center, Mike linebacker, free safety are the positions of centrality, the communication positions. In coaching, most of your coaches, if you look at, they come from those positions. And so for years, because Blacks weren't allowed at times to play those spots, we've been behind in the pipeline because we weren't afforded those opportunities to make the transitions from the field to the sidelines due to the lack of experience and expertise in those things. It has since changed where we are given those opportunities to grow from the defensive side of the ball. But right now, we just haven't cracked the code when it comes to coaching the quarterback, being around the quarterback, calling plays on offense, and ascending to head coach. Some of that is, people will say, like, lack of opportunity, but a lot of it is perception when it comes to those guys getting jobs and the head coaching thing. Because as an announcer, if I am always saying, hey, this guy with the play sheet is, man, he's the next one to come, well, after a while, it kind of becomes true. Owners look at TV games, owners hear those names. The guys who are on the offense of the ball get a ton of praise for when they call games, even though coordinators have nothing, being a good coordinator has nothing to do with being a good head coach.
So he said something I didn't think about. He said that grooming players to become leaders or seeing attributes in players to see if they would be a good coach down the road. Like someone said when the Steelers were looking for to fill their head coach, someone said Aaron Rodgers. And I never thought about Aaron Rodgers being a head coach because I don't see Aaron Rodgers as a player's coach. I can't see his personality transforming into head coach material. But then I thought about like a Sean Payton. So there's two types of coaches. There's players coaches, and then there's leaders, right? Mike Tomlin was a players coach. Everyone loved him, tears, cries. I love the guy. He's an amazing guy in the locker room, amazing guy getting along with the guys, the fellas, right? Except for people like Harrison, who said he lied to him. He's always going to be an outlier. But then there's a Sean Payton, who's not a players coach, but a good X and O guys, a good delegator, a good leader of management who could give a shit about players. Like, as far as Sean Payton's concerned, those players are just X's and O's out on the field. He probably don't even remember their name. He don't care about their kids, doesn't care about their wives, right? But he cares about having your ass in there, all the coaches meeting 5 a.m. in the morning, working their asses 18 hours a day, getting the job done. But you can be successful on both sides. But when Sean Payton does interviews, GMs go, man, you're a player killer. Every time you always get players who want to leave the team, they want to trade, they want to be released out of their contracts. And Payton's like, I'm just about winning. I don't care about all that other shit. So that was interesting. So we were talking about grooming players to be leaders. And he said quarterback, center, which I never thought about a center, but I guess that's true when we think about Russ Grimm. Mike linebacker, they're usually leader of the linebacker crew, and they're mic'd up like a Watt or somebody like that. And then a free safety for the secondary. Those are the 4 leadership positions out on a football field. So it's kind of interesting to look at the players and determine who's going to be a good leader after their career's over. Or even maybe they get injured in their 7th or 8th year and they decide to stick around the team and say, I want to coach. You start to look at those guys. So that was an interesting take. Who else had an opinion? Of course, ABC chimed in. They're probably on the side of DEI and affirmative action and things like that. Let's see what they had to say. Clinton Yates.
On-air host Clinton Yates joins me to talk about this trend and what it means for the league. So Clinton, the NFL made these rule changes to encourage hiring of more black coaches more than 20 years ago. But if you look at the numbers, they're the exact same today, the number of head coaches, as there were in 2003. Why is that?
Good afternoon, Selena. I mean, I think the thing is that this is not exactly a complex problem, but it also is not linear in the context of a rule is not going to help you with what is effectively human nature. And when you look at how the different things develop, where guys come from, as in coaches, how they're looked at by their owners, and most specifically, how many opportunities they're given to fail before they get another chance, that's where a lot of things fall off the most. You look at the former coach of the New England Patriots, who are now in the Super Bowl, Gerard Mayo, he got fired after 1 season. Exactly. And that's understandable in a certain context, but guys like that often don't get another chance. Meanwhile, you've got other different guys who have been coaches for some time or not a lot of time who get chances over and over and over again. So there's an element of, I don't want to just call it inherent bias, but that is something to consider when you're talking about who's looked at and who could be a leader and who could get a shot versus somebody who's considered, ooh, not good enough, not ready yet.
Yeah, so that's another one of those situations where you just have to wonder, man, who's available? You just can't tell NFL owners you need to interview a black candidate when there's no one available. There's no one qualified for the position. Like I said, I've been in corporate America all my life. Now I own my own business. But when I was, and by the way, I've taken a job because of my resume and because of my interview, and I totally failed because I was in way over my head and I wasn't good at the position that I took. And I stepped down. I recognized that. And I was like, you know what? I'm in over my head on this position and I have no idea if I could ever achieve success in it. I could have faked the funk for years and just got by, but we weren't going to win a Super Bowl in that industry, if you know what I mean. I was there to win Super Bowls. And I just kept getting us to the playoffs pretty much. I had some success, but I was depressed. My mental health started to come into question. All right, so I wanted to take a look at a couple more of these before moving on. Oh, so not everyone's favorite uncle, but he made a good point here. Let's see what Jason Whitlock had to say.
Black head coaches, we have gone 0 for 10. Everybody that will sit on TV today and just racism. If that's all the substance you have to bring to the table, and you're making that the brand of black men, that we have no substance other than our willingness to promote our victimhood, why would we be hired for a leadership position? Those people don't make good leaders. Period. End of story. You cannot be a leader while being a victim. People that have covered the NFL for decades the only argument that they can make, the men that run and operate the league that has created more black male millionaires than any other industry, it ain't the rap industry. It's the NFL. The only argument you can make is, well, they're racist, and that's why they won't give us these head coaching jobs.
Nailed it. I don't care what you think about Jason Whitlock. He nailed that 100%. It's not a position where when you're a billionaire, man, you just don't give a shit about someone's color. You're going to be like, your thought process of who's going to get me a Vince Lombardi trophy the fastest? They're betting guys. If you watch the Dallas Cowboy documentary with Jerry Jones, he talked about the sacrifices that he made in order to own the Dallas Cowboys. You think he's going to run that team by chance? They've been really, really shitty in the last 20 years. But every time he makes a move, he makes it with the idea that this is going to get me to the Super Bowl. You know? He's not saying, well, I need to fire the Rooney Rule. I know what that conversation would sound like. Hey, Jerry, it's Roger Goodell. I noticed you got a coaching opening. Don't you forget that we got to follow the Rooney Rule. You got it, pal. I got my guys all lined up. Well, who are you interviewing? Got a couple of assistants on my team. That's been here a couple of years. Going to interview them. And there's a guy at University of Oklahoma. He's an assistant coach, black fella. Going to interview him. All while knowing he's going to hire Jason Garrett. You know what I'm saying? All while knowing he's going to hire Schottenheimer. Dallas Cowboys probably have 5 openings since the Rooney Rule, and he's never hired a black guy. Because you don't tell Jerry Jones what to do. I'm sorry, it's not happening. But there's this mentality of Shady McCoy who thinks that it just has to happen. And listen to this. His logic here makes no sense whatsoever.
Majority of the NFL players is black, but we can't coach the team.
Who cares if the majority of the players are black? That might mean that they're better players than they are coaches. This has nothing to do with their brains or their mindset or their acumen. It has to do with some people are players, some people are coaches. Larry Bird was a successful player and successful coach. Isaiah Thomas had some success in the league as a coach and a GM. Magic Johnson did not. Michael Jordan had success as a player. He was a horrible owner. Some skill sets don't transfer. That's just the way it is. But go ahead, Shady, finish.
Let alone, there ain't no black owners, right? We've made so much progress in the league, but then we still have points where it's like, man, you interviewing black coach, but nobody getting hired?
Maybe they didn't pass the interview. Maybe they didn't do well in the interview. I want a Lombardi. Tell me how you're going to get me a Lombardi. And if you can't tell me how,
players are good enough to play and learn the game. And then not only that, you see success from other black coaches. Like, say what you want. D'Amico Ryans, yo, the stuff he's doing in Houston, that's big time.
Okay, so, and I'm sorry to keep stopping you, Shady, forgive me. But listen, if your team sucks and you haven't been able to get over the 5-win hump every year, guys, there are coaches out there that can get you 5 more wins. All right? So you bring that guy in, you be like, you know what? We've had 4 to 6 wins for the last 5 to 6 years. Cleveland Browns, for instance. Right now, Cleveland Browns could take a shot on any coach. Doesn't matter. They tried Stefanski, he didn't work out. It's almost like a what have you got to lose type mentality. Bring somebody in, who knows? Because right now we're losing ticket sales, we're losing revenue sales, we're not getting any national night games unless we're playing the Steelers or the Cowboys. We can't even get a night game. So we got to get some more wins. We got to be competitive. So I'm going to hire a coach who may not be, on that first tier or second tier level, but he can get us 5 more wins, get the fans excited, and get some people in the seats. But that has a very short shelf life. That has an expiration date. Because once you start getting those wins and your players, you're going to start getting good draft picks and good free agents coming in, and people are going to expect playoff wins. If you go from 4 wins to 9 wins, fans are excited. Wait till next year. Then you get 10 wins and 11 wins, but you're losing in the wild card game year after year after year. They're going to be saying, fire Tomlin.
I just don't get like why we don't get the same opportunities. Man, I guess I know why, but it comes to a point where, man, what's important? Do you want to win? Do you want to win or not?
Yes, that's the point. And I hate that he goes, what? LeBron James. When during the George Floyd thing, they put a microphone in LeBron's face. He goes, why don't they like us? Pissed me off. And I'm a LeBron James fan, but why don't they like us? He's a multi-millionaire, damn near billionaire, saying, why don't they like us? Someone is buying your shoes and jerseys and tickets, LeBron. Don't use that us mentality. Shady's be like, why can't we get an opportunity? I hate when we use that we and us situation when it comes to national issues. We don't like us. Don't we deserve an opportunity?
If you want to win, you'll give more coaches opportunities because the ones that have the opportunities, they have done well. And it's hard to look at the numbers on it because if you look at the stats, okay, well, how many black coaches do well compared to white coaches? The difference is they have so much more opportunities though. Yeah. So they're going to be higher success rates because there's so much of.
Okay, do you want to win? He said, yes, we want to win. And we want to win Super Bowls. If you don't start the season in camp thinking about the Super Bowl, you failed. Every team should be saying, I want a coach that's going to help me win the Super Bowl, not get to the playoffs, not get 5 more wins, the Super Bowl. I mean, if that's not your mentality, yeah. It's not that you have a short leash, but that should be your ultimate goal. So he said, don't we want to win? Yes, we want to win. So that means hire some black coaches. That's what he's saying. But if I was to give you the record of all the black coaches from 2025, they all were like mediocre. They were 10-7, 9-8, 8-8, 6-4, 4 and. It's not Andy Reid status. You think Andy Reid can live on his laurels and go, well, look what I've done for you guys in the last 10 years. Bro, you have another season like you did last year, you're going to be on thin ice. McDermott, fired. Tomlin, resigned. You don't. Losing records, losing in the playoffs, it has an expiration date. So I do want to finish off with one more video. I want us to watch Robert Kraft, and he will explain to you exactly what I was saying. That this is it's not about color, and it's not about the Rooney Rule. It's about winning games, X's and O's, Vince Lombardi trophies. I don't care what your color is. Take it, Kraft.
Being the first black coach was important to him. Curious, what does it mean to you? And if I could ask you, Gerard, have you reached out to any of the folks like, Tony or, Tomlin, just to get their sense of what it means to them?
You want to start off?
Yeah. Let me say this to you. I'm really colorblind in terms of I know what I feel like on Sunday when we lose. And I can just tell you that there's nothing after my family, my passion is with the New England Patriots, and there's something else very close second, but winning at the Patriots is my passion. So I want to get the best people I can get. I chose the best head coach for this organization. He happens to be a man of color, but I chose him because I believe he's best to do the job.
See? Robert Kraft said, I don't give a damn what this guy's color is. Don't care. He was the best guy in our organization to take over for Bill Belichick, he thought. And then he realized, oh my God, the players hate this guy. That's not winning mentality. That's not a winning organization. Say what you want about Bill Belichick. Players loved him. I heard very few players say bad things about Bill Belichick. But there you go. That's my take on the Rooney Rule. I think it's obsolete. I think it's unnecessary. I don't think we need it. But there's a lot of people out there that will tell you that we're still not getting the opportunities. Well, then you need to make sure that you put yourself in a position to be a good coach. You need to get with guys. I want to coach for Andy Reid, even if that means taking less money. I want to coach with, I don't know, Sirianni in Philadelphia, even if that means taking less money. I want to get tutored, by Tony Dungy or Mike Tomlin even. Just put yourself under someone's wing who's had some success and try and figure out, how can I be a better coach? Even if you have to start from special teams coach or defensive line coach, you just want to be around that energy. So when you do your interview, you can do a Mike Tomlin interview and say, I've worked for this guy, I was on the Vikings under this guy, this guy, this guy. I've seen success. I know what it looks like. I know how to build a team. And you do that. Credit to Mike Tomlin. He's taken teams that should not have even sniffed the playoffs and made them a playoff team. He just couldn't get the job done in the playoffs. Tell me what you think. Like, subscribe, chop it up in the comments. And I hope to see you guys again. Thanks a lot for listening. Chris Y. Wright, Be Wise Podcast.